Good evening, everybody. My name is Ms.Reid. I'm the founder of D.A.A.A.M.N, where daddy issues drive discussion, and this is the discussion room. Tonight, as my guest, I have Darryl from Baltimore, who's agreed to tell us a little bit about his relationship with his dad and his experience as a father. Hi, Darryl. How you doing this evening?
I'm good.
So, we set this up a while back, and I told you I would be asking you a few questions about your relationship with your dad.
hmm
First, can you tell us what your relationship with your dad was like growing up?
Uh, growing up, uh, it was. See, my dad was like he was on like into drugs, and I according to him, he didn't really want to be around, his kids while he was, you know, all hired up, and living like a cruddy lifestyle. So it was more so like, man, I barely knew my father when I was younger. So.
Okay. So, being an adult now, how have you been able to rebuild that relationship with your dad? Do you feel that you all are in a better place?
Yeah. For one, when I had my son, I think that created another bond because he told me, he wanted to be in my child's life because he never had it. Well, he didn't give himself a chance to be in my life. So I think, and in and out of jail, probably helped him out a lot too. So yeah. So now we just in a we like a rebuilding stage.
A rebuilding stage. What
Yeah.
was your goal when allowing your father back into your life? What was your goal when you decided that you were ready to allow him back into your life?
I never really. I mean, I didn't really have a goal. Is it was just let me give it another shot. Well, let me give it a shot. Because I never really knew my father like that. So like when I was growing up, barely knew nothing about my father but his name. Like so, I think the goal is now just hit. I would say I don't mean to keep stumbling and stuff like that, but I don't think I have a goal. I would think more, he would have more of a goal than I would
Okay.
because it wasn't my fuck up. Oh, can we cuss on here?
You fine.
Okay. It wasn't I didn't mess up. So I don't really have a goal. That's his, that's up to him. That's his thing. I think he should have that goal.
Okay. So when you say that you didn't really know your dad, was that something you always felt, or did you get to an age where you realized, like, I don't really know this guy?
Uh, all my life.
I phrased it that way because, from my perspective, growing up, I felt like I knew my dad. I knew his
Yeah.
siblings, his
hmm
mom, his grandmother. I saw him frequently enough. But
hmm
recently, when rebuilding our relationship, I realized, like, I don't really know him.
Yeah.
But all your life you felt that way, that you didn't know him?
Not really because like when I was younger, I barely saw my dad. Like I remember like times like he'll promise like or he'll say like, I'm on my way to come get you, man. And my mom, she'll pack all my bags up, and I'll be sitting by the window for hours and hours and he'll never come. And I'll cry, So I never really got a chance to like I don't really know like too well I didn't know too much about him. Like besides like his name, For the longest time, like when I was younger, I didn't even know my father's middle name. You know what I'm saying? So I barely saw him. So
So on those instances where he was promising to show up and not showing up, how did that make you feel? I know you
crushed.
said you cried, but how did that make you feel? You said crushed?
Yeah. Like before, like you, I always, I love my dad. Like even though, like when I was younger, he wasn't really there. Like I loved him. I now I just wanted to see him, even if like he had just picked me up and then dropped me off at my at my grandma's house or something like that. But I don't know, it crushed me. So yeah.
You said you loved your dad. How did you feel like you were able to form a loving relationship with somebody you feel you didn't know? Do you feel like, you just loved him because of his role as your father?
Um, when I was younger, a kid, like maybe like 5, 6. I don't really think I knew what like love was, but I know that was my dad, and I just I don't even know if I liked the beer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So for you, it was just really more so of one at a time because you said, you loved him, you wanted to be around him, even if he was just taking you to your grandmother's house.
Mhm. Yeah. I just wanted to be in his presence. You know, like that's really it. And a lot of times he'd just not show. He wouldn't show. Like he wouldn't call. He wouldn't come. He wouldn't do nothing. Like even like when I in my teenage years, like he uh he would like just pick me up. I guess he was still running the street. I'm not too sure, but he would just pick me up and just drop me off at my grandma's house. So I mean that part I really didn't mind because then I was around like my cousins and stuff like that. But I only got to see him like really at night and in the morning. So yeah.
Are there any positive memories you recall having from those few times you spent with your dad? Anything that you held on to in his absence?
No, not when I was younger. No. Mm, no, no.
You mentioned that he decided that he wanted to be a part of your life again once you were becoming a father. How did that make you feel? Were you guys already rebuilding your relationship before he found out you were becoming a dad? Or was it something where he just felt like, oh, I get the opportunity to have a do over?
Well, when he came from jail, I think that's this last time he was there for like 4 years. So I guess you know that's what really changed his mind. He's tried. Yeah, I guess he found like what what means. I don't know. I can't answer that because that's a question for him. But if I, I don't know. I think jail did it this go around because he was gone for about 4 years. So I don't know. I think when I was writing them and stuff like that, I think that changed him. I think he didn't want to come back home and keep going to jail. I think me having a child. I think that changed him. Uh, it could be a lot of different things. I never really even asked him that.
Okay. So what I'm asking really, based on what your answer just now, he
Hmm.
happened to come home from jail around the same time you were having your child.
I had my child. He was still in jail,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay.
he missed the birth. And maybe that I think that's one reason that maybe killed, hurt his heart a little bit and made him, switch up his ways because he basically missed the birth of his first grandchild. I'm not even too sure if he was home when my niece was born. But I think those little things. I think he. I know he told me. He said, "I really want to be a better grandfather than I was a father." And I mean, I can't take that away.
So not having your father be an active participant in your
My bad.
okay. What was that like for you when
No,
you were finding out you were going to be a father? Did that put any pressure on you? Did you feel like you were ready for fatherhood?
say it one more time.
Not having your father be an active participant in your life. When you
Yeah,
found out you were going to be a father, did his absence have an impact on you? Did it make you feel like you were unprepared for fatherhood?
yeah, yeah. A lot of times, you know, it's like still to this day, uh, I pray that I wouldn't end up like him. Like that was like it had me scared. Like when I knew I was having a child, because in the back of my mind, I was like, I was thinking like, I hope I don't become him, especially because I really didn't have a good job, so it was like a struggle. So uh, mm, I think that's it. Uh,
So, in being a father, do you said you still pray that prayer to this day that you don't end up like him, but
hmm
do you feel like thus far that fear is subsiding? Do you feel like you're showing up for your child in a way where you have that fear a little bit less every day?
Yeah, especially like now, like me becoming a father. Like I enjoy it because I get to do things like I things that I never did with my dad. So a lot of things like is it's like very exciting because it's like a lot of things is like a first time for me. So in my head, I'm like, I can never, turn my back on this kid because this kid is me. But in the back of my mind, I still, I still think like maybe like even days that you know if I don't see him for a few days or something like that, it might come across like, damn, it seems like I'm, becoming my father's child, like I'm following his footsteps. And, I gotta, you know, just shake that thought off because I know in my heart that I can never be like that to my kid because I didn't have it. So I don't want that cycle to keep on, going around. So, you know, I try to be there as much as possible.
So you feel like you're being the person you needed.
Yeah, at least I'm trying. Like every day is is new because a lot of things that I didn't really learn from my dad, I don't. I had to really wing it. You feel me? Like I can see like when my son do something that I don't like, I yell because I never saw like how my dad would have been in those type of situations when I was young, like when I was bad and things like that. I only had my mom to, you know, discipline me and stuff like that. So,
What are some of the lessons that you hope to pass down to your son that you had to learn the hard way because your dad wasn't there?
mm,
So I'll give you an example while you think on that. I shared a few weeks back. The rapper Fabulous posted a picture of his son, and in the
mm,
caption, he talked about how he's been teaching his son to look men in the eyes when he speaks. That's
definitely,
something that men do, and he
yeah,
was talking about all of the lessons that he's sharing with his sons that his father wasn't around to teach him.
yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you hope to be able to teach your son that you had to learn without your dad?
Well, definitely always look a man in his eyes. That's a form of respect. Like even down like you know teaching my son how to shake. Give a proper handshake. Always use the right hand. You know, uh, teaching them to have respect for women. Like holding doors for women. You know, I had to teach them like not to hit women. Because if I'm growing up, where I'm from, you swinging on a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we learned out here. So just little things I just have to nip in the bud. Like teach my son about saving. I would have to teach him about credit. Like this all in the future. I mean, he's too young for that now, but definitely save. He can learn saving now. You know, it's a lot of things. Like it's a lot of things that my father missed out. Like shit, I don't even know who taught me how to ride a bike. I know my dad didn't teach me how to tie my shoes. Like all like the important things when I was younger, my dad really didn't teach me. So I'm I mean, I'm not forced, but I had that's my job as a dad, a father, to teach him everything that I know. You know, I gotta give him the game that I know.
What are some things that your mom taught you that you find to be important to share with your son?
Respect. My mom disciplined me. Manners. You know, mm, that's really about it.
Some basics, so
A lot of
manners and
yeah,
respect.
just yeah, because like I mean,
And they don't necessarily have to be
I,
things that a father should teach a child, but just certain things when
yeah,
you have a single parent household, you kind of have a different perspective on life, and those are some things that you carry with you. You want to pass down.
mm, right, right. Mm, more so like manners and stuff like that. Respect and everything else. I got from just growing up. Maybe looking up to like uncles and people like that. I mean, uh, I don't think besides man, it's nothing. I can't really think of nothing offhand. It's maybe some things, but offhand I can't. Yeah.
When you were that son sitting in the window crying and your
Mm.
mom was there, did you feel comfortable having those conversations with your mom about how you felt and about how those letdowns made you feel?
A lot of times, repeat the question.
So you were vulnerable enough to answer and share that as a child you cried after and you felt
Mhm.
crushed waiting on your dad. Did
Yeah.
were you able to have conversations about those feelings and those experiences openly with your mother?
Yeah, I did. I blamed her a lot. Uh, I would shut her out. So the conversation probably, probably like we that next day we probably would talk about it. But after a while, it was a reoccurring thing. I stopped crying. I really just didn't care. Like if he came, he came. Especially around like the times when I was crying, I really wasn't really going outside like that. So you know, I was like stuck under my mom a lot. So you know, I thought family is that's the only thing I had. And then when he didn't show, that hurt. So you know, my mom just tell me like maybe something came up. She'll color for him a lot of times, and sometimes she couldn't. So,
What are some things that you experienced that you wish your dad was present to help walk you through or guide you through?
mm, everything, everything. It's not just one thing or five things. I would want him to be there for everything. You know, your first sexual experience. You always want to talk to your dad. Like, shit. I don't even think my dad. He didn't even teach me how to put a condom on. So I will everything. Yeah, everything. He missed out.
Indeed. So, are those things that you feel comfortable discussing with him now? Do you feel that you've been able to build a genuine relationship
Hmm.
similar to that as if he were there?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things he can't teach me now. Man, I already know a lot of things now, but it's it's things that he still teach me. Like he still try to give me like teach me about like saving. Uh, if I'm having problems like relationship, you know, I can go to him for that. Uh, Sports, you know, try to talk to me about sports, but I think I know a little bit more about that. You know, but you know, yeah, that's. I mean, I'm a grown man now, so it's still little things that I can still learn from them, especially like about money. Shit, hustlers know how to save.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point. So you mentioned earlier that your dad didn't want to be around his children when he was under the influence of whatever he was taking at that time. Does he ever talk to you about those experiences to try to share what he's learned from making those turns in his life?
Yeah, he tell me like every time not every time, but just about every time I go up there and we sit and we talking, he tell me like a lot of things that he regret, and that's one of them, like doing drugs, because a lot of the drugs that he was, using, or whatever drug he was using, he felt like it messed his body up, like, and gave him like health problems. You know, he he say he always say like he's kind of glad that he don't have like broken like kids that's like running the streets and stuff like that, or really like took after him. But I would tell him like, if it wasn't really for like my cousin, I probably would have been out there like in his footstep, because I was close, you know. The people that I was running with, family and stuff like that, yeah. And I didn't really have like that, him to tell me not to do it, you know, like even when he was home, I mean, he wasn't there because he was out there. So he out there doing dirt. I'm going, uh,
Was that ever something you wanted? I actually had a child tell me a few days ago that they didn't need school because they were just going to be a hustle like their father. And I know that that's not the only child who's ever thought that. And I know that there are people out there who purposefully gone to jail just so they can be around their relatives who are in jail. When you were at that stage of life where that was a possibility for you before your cousin stepped in, do you ever feel like part of you was getting into it so you could be around your father?
no. At that point, like like in my teen years, like I didn't really care to be around my dad like that, because at that time I felt like shit. He ain't really care to be around me neither. Like a lot of times I can count on my hand how many times I didn't see my dad, and like even like times like my bad, like they're going trips and stuff like that. He wouldn't invite me. Like sometimes he'll invite me, that'll crush me. Like when he didn't, but after a while, like when got him, in my teen years, and I was, hanging out, got my friends and in the neighborhood, and I'm going hang with my cousins and stuff like that. I ain't care about my dad after that. Like, dad, out with him. That's how I felt. You know, a lot of times it was like I had to call him really for me to go up there or come see him. And shit, I wasn't doing that. You know, I gave up. Like I felt like he did.
That's a serious statement. You felt like he gave up on you,
Yeah.
so you gave up.
Mhm.
So in the beginning of this conversation, you said that you felt like you didn't know your father.
Mm-mm.
Since reconnecting with him and allowing him to be a part of your son's life, do you feel like you know him now? And have you ever sat down and asked him some direct questions about some of the things you wanted to know?
Now, yeah and no, because now I just enjoy his presence. So really, I really don't even ask him questions like about like his past unless he bring it up. I don't really ask questions. I just go up there and I just live in the moment. Like let the past be the past. Like to just have fun with him now. We starting fresh. That's how I feel. Like we starting fresh. I don't really hold grudges, so it was easy for me to like really forgive because I really just didn't care in the first place at first. So it was easy for me.
So you've been focused more so on getting to know who he is as opposed to getting to know who he was.
Yeah, I mean, I know who he was because he told me who he was. You know, he always tell me who he was. But like things like favorite color, first car, like those were things I don't really know. I I I ain't I don't I never asked that. That's some questions that I do need to ask. You know. Uh,
So you mentioned that your father shared with you his past involvement with drugs has caused him some health issues. How important is it to you to know his medical history so that you are aware of what runs in the family and what can possibly impact you and your child?
um, he tell me what's going on with him, and you know, it's like a scare, but I really don't get like too involved. And he told me about that, like like he said, man, like my family, like especially like my kids need to know what's going on with me, like what type of medicines I take. Maybe come to a doctor's appointment with me to learn about these different things that's going wrong with them or going on with them. So, like worst case scenario, something bad happened, like he go into like a shock or something like that, I would know what to do. Or he have like a sugar attack, I would know what to do. And those little things, like I agree on, but I just don't do it. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm job lazy a little bit. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, some of that could be laziness, but I mean, I personally asked that question because that's something my mother is always pushing me to do. You need to find
Mm-hmm.
out your history. You need to find out your history because I know what types of illnesses and stuff runs on my mother's side. Both her paternal and maternal family um, had cancer run through the family. But
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you much about my father's side of the family health wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the hard way that I probably should have asked more questions earlier on. I had
Yeah.
a keloid as a teenager, and when
Yeah.
I had it removed, the doctor asked, does anybody else in your family have keloids? Because if I remove it, it'll get bigger. And my
Yeah.
mother waits till after they cut it off to remember that my father also, had keloids. So
Yeah.
then after that, I kind of understood more why she wanted me to know the health history on that side. But I
Yeah.
just figured, being as though you're experiencing what he's dealing with health wise and then wanting to protect yourself and know how that impacts your child. So just figure that out.
Yeah. I need to make that phone call. Yeah. I need to find like I know things that's going wrong with him. I know things that's going wrong like with my mom, but like past that I don't know. And that's questions that I need to find out. Really on both sides. Like I know a little bit on my mom's side, but really past my father, I don't really know what's going on over there. So I think I'll give him that call, maybe tonight or tomorrow.
Okay. Since becoming a father, what have been some of your favorite experiences in fatherhood?
Um, everything. You know, teaching them things, just having someone that look up to you. You know, like a lot of my son tell me like he want to grow up and be a mailman like me. That those little things make me feel proud. You know, uh, get to experience things that I never did as a kid with him makes me feel good. There's a lot of things that we did together that was a first for me and it was a first for him, and I like that. Yeah, yeah. So that's probably yeah.
So, for anyone who's listening who's had a similar experience but has not had the opportunity to reconnect with their dad just yet, what are some things you would ask them to keep in mind if that's something that they want?
Well, I mean, you can want it, but your dad, he gonna have to want it too. It just can't be one sided. Because you'll be trying, and it'd be like you always getting a cold shoulder, or it's like you running into a brick wall all the time. So it's got to be like the same on both sides. Like both of y'all have to want it. You know, and if you really want it, just keep trying. That'll come around eventually. Sometimes it take a person a while before they realize that they, you know, are a father. I'm guessing. I mean, that's what I see. Try to just, I mean, I can't say try to get over it, but that, not having a dad that do hurt. So I don't know. Just it just has to be both sides that want it.
Both sides that doing it. I think that's great advice because forcing people to do things they're not ready for doesn't tend to have great results.
Right.
So I've experienced meeting lots of different people with different familial backgrounds.
Hmm.
And some of the male friends I have a preference to not date women who don't have a good relationship with their dads. Is that something that you believe takes a toll on a relationship?
Mm, no, no, no.
Do you feel like your relationship with your dad ever showed up in the relationships you've had?
Mm, no, no, because I, I don't. I didn't really know my dad, so I really can't answer that question.
Well, not necessarily, you know, him, but
Hmm.
like you said, some of the things you wish you were around for was your first sexual experience to teach you how to put on a condom, and that now you can go to him for relationship advice. Do you
Yeah.
feel like before having him to be there for you to lean on for relationship advice that may have shown up, not seeing, you know, that example?
Mm, no, because I mean, when he wasn't there, I mean, I had like older cousins and stuff like that that pretty much helped me out with stuff like that. You know, I had questions about relationships and stuff like that. You know, go to them.
Okay. I mean, it takes a village, so you had other people you could go to in those times for that type of advice.
Yeah, once I got older, like when I was younger, you know, I didn't really have too many male figures like that. But once I got older, like a lot of my uncles and cousins was around more. So you know, around the time that I'm starting to become a man, that's
You had what you needed. They were there when you needed them, from
yeah,
your perspective.
yeah.
So, living the life that you've lived with your perspective and experiences, do you see yourself as a resource to your community? Excuse me.
That's you.
Thank you. To be somebody that others can look up to or can come to feel comfortable with having those types of conversations.
Yeah, especially in my community because I mean I went through a lot of things that they're going through now. So I could teach a lot of young men, some things. And some things that the young men around here can teach me. You know, we all can learn from each other.
Okay. So my final question of the night is, if you could give your dad one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Um,
And you can take your time and think on that. No rush.
don't fuck up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You know, that's about it. Like I don't really have too much, advice to give them. You know, that's about it. Just be a better grandfather to your grandkids than you was a father to your kids. You know, and rebuild your relationship with your kids. What you trying?
Okay, so I lied. I do have one more question. With your relationship being torn with your dad, what impact did that have on your relationship with your siblings?
Um, a big impact. Uh, I barely saw my brother, my older brother, barely, barely. Even my sister, yeah. Like I barely even like. I mean, yeah, I barely know him. Like that's my loved ones and stuff. But yeah, like even when I felt like even when he was out there doing his dirt, you know, if he could have just picked all of us up and dropped us off at grandma's house or something like that, or I think my brother was old enough to watch us at the time, you know, maybe I'd have had a better relationship with like my brother and my sister. Like I I spent more time with my sister than my brother. Like I ain't really hang with my brother until like I think he was like a grown man, like driving and stuff like that. Like that's when I think that's when he really started coming around. So yeah, he yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know what that's like. I can attest to that, not really having the best relationship with siblings. Just having to get to know them later in life. And as the oldest,
Mhm.
I'm pretty much like your brother, that I didn't get to be around them until I became old enough to drive and make those decisions and movements for myself and set that up. So definitely understand what that's like.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything
Yeah.
else you would like to share or just say, get off your chest in regards to rebuilding your relationship with your dad to end that cycle for your son? Because that's something you said, you didn't want it to be a cycle for your son. You wanted to show up for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. I just, I would say, like, for the people that's listening, if you're going to do it, just try to reach out, you know, see if it reach back. You you never know. Uh, it'll work out. You get to know, the person that brought you into this world. That's how I feel.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening in the discussion room. If you are listening for the first time, my name again is Ms.Reid, the founder of D.A.A.A.M.N, which is spelled D.A.A.A.M.N Daddy. Again, that's D.A.A.A.M.N Daddy. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Damn Daddy. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the discussion room, and we'll see you next time.